But you've done peyote before, and
Peyote from there, actually. Yeah, from Real to 14. So,
yeah.
like, I was completely unaware that you were having a bad trip.
Mm-hmm.
Completely. Like, that was absolutely shocking when you told me that at the end. It was just completely not even like on my mind. Also, I'm not sure I could have like held a conversation at that point. So I'm not sure. Like, yeah, I don't know. If I was in your position, I probably wouldn't have told me either.
Warm welcome to today's talk. My guest today is Nathan Bell, who is someone who I've known. He's maybe actually my oldest friend. I've known him since I was like 8 years old, I feel, 8 or 9. And we weren't really friends that whole time, but we ended up becoming close friends. Very good friend of mine. We've had a lot of crazy experiences together, which we highlight a few of them here. Other things I could say about Nate is he's a spiritual seeker. So he's done a lot of different experimenting with plant medicines, meditation retreats, which we go in depth on, as well as Ted Mescal's and various other things. He's very well read. We talk about some books that we like, and yeah, it's a nice conversation. It was good to hear from him, as this is a man that I respect greatly, and I hope you enjoy what we talk about. Take care. Yeah, I guess we'll just start with Real de 14 because I want to hear a little bit about this. But yeah, essentially, like I was speaking with my therapist on Real de 14, and he was saying that he might have some hookups for me. And you've been there?
No, just my buddy James has been there. So yeah, I've just heard a secondhand account from him. So.
Yeah. Oh, but you've done peyote before, and
Peyote from there, actually. So
okay.
Yeah, from Real to 14. So
Have you done San Pedro as well, though? No. So
I'm not. But the girl that we did peyote with had previously done San Pedro and said it was a similar experience for sure. So
did you get any cool insights? Like you've talked to Fergal quite a, oh, that's another thing I would like to touch on is your chess championships. But yeah, like you spoke with Fergal, so you know him, but he had like a life-changing experience on San Pedro, and he had all these crazy insights, and now his life is completely different. Did you get anything like that from peyote?
No, I don't think so. I don't really think I was like looking for anything either, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But no, like I have had previously doing mushrooms, I would say I've had more like, I guess, profound insights or something from doing mushrooms than I did with that one trip with peyote. But yeah, I don't know. Like it's obviously like it's great every time. But I also have never had a bad trip, so to speak, on it as well. So I shouldn't be like just throwing it out there like we should all do this. But yeah, I think in the right setting, yeah, everyone should be doing this. So.
Yeah, it's tough. Like that one that we did before Buddha, before I went, or before Bulger's wedding, I guess that was like a horrible time for me.
Right.
And that was like the proper setting, like
yep.
we did it all properly.
Although we didn't have anyone to like monitor and guide us, right? Like or like no trip sitter for that. So I guess
yeah,
like I was completely unaware that you were having a bad trip. Completely. Mm-hmm. Like that was absolutely shocking when you told me that at the end. It was just completely not even like on my mind, which is like, yeah, I'm not gonna be much of a help if that's
yeah. Well, I guess I could have said something, but part of me and my brain was like, I don't have the capability of splitting this trip killer up. And like I barely had the capability of even opening the package that the trip killer was in. So I was like, yeah, like I have to do this in secrecy because we only have one. I can't have Nate start freaking out if
no, totally. It's probably the better approach realistically, but we just should have had like that open, that ready to go in case the situation arose. But we weren't really like, I don't know, we kind of like didn't like respect what could happen. I guess we just kind of were assuming it was going to be a good time. Like we didn't really like take into account any like precautions that we should have taken.
Mm.
Yeah.
But then, like, as well, it's kind of stupid on my part because, like, if I just said something to you instead of me thinking that you would have then started freaking out, like, the more likely scenario would be you would be like, "Oh, hey, like, what's going on? Like, what's troubling you?" You know, and then like we can just like talk it
Yeah.
out, get my mind on something else. You know, that probably would have been a lot better. Like,
Maybe, but also I'm not sure I could have like held a conversation at that point. So I'm not
yeah.
sure. Like, yeah, I don't know. If I was in your position, I probably wouldn't have told me either, or
Mhm.
told you either. Because I really, yeah, I don't think I was in any position to be like calling, like making decisions at that point. I was just gone. So
Yeah, it was crazy. We didn't take any at all. But then like I remember like when I like woke up from that like pretty much sleep that I had, like I took the pill and like I was like, all right, I've done everything that I can do. I'm just gonna pass out now. And I came out of it and I like stood up and you're like, that was a good time. And I was like, that was one of the worst times of my life.
yeah. Yeah. Like, and how long after was that? Like how, yeah, what was like the time frame? Did you ever write that down or
Yeah,
anything
so
like that?
that's one of the things that I'm noticing is like I write these, I have books filled with notes and things like that, and I just don't know where any of them are. Like I have so many like insights and things like that from my one book that I've been like, oh, I really want to go back and reread those, and I just don't know where it is. But I do remember me and you, we did like write down what time we took it, what time
Yeah,
the effects started coming, what time we took more because we couldn't feel it,
right.
and then.
Yeah.
And then after that, like I think there was maybe like one scribble, like computer loud or something, and then after that, it was a wrap.
Yeah. And did we put on a playlist? We must have had something like, yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
think
just
we did that Suicide Sheet
suicide
playlist,
sheet.
and,
Yeah.
and I remember at one point I was like, oh, I need to deal with this music. Like this is not the music. And then I realized like I don't know how to use the computer at the moment.
Right,
You know?
right.
And then I was like, fuck, like I can't change the music and I can't do the hits. It was a lot.
Yeah, yeah. But like, I guess after, like looking back on it that night or like the next day, do you have any like insights from that? Like,
You,
is it still viewed as like a negative experience, I guess, or
it's mostly viewed as like when you take something like that, you have to think of it as like you need to treat it properly, you know, which I thought we were doing, but then I guess like Adam had warned me, like, bro, don't you probably shouldn't be doing this trip, you know, you're not in the right headspace. Um, and like, yeah, there's a lot more to it than just like taking it, but yeah, I think you accidentally get insights to it too, right? Remember, like I had like thoughts of before, like all of my insights are kind of usually the same, and it just like that's just one other example of it. So like my insights that I usually get are just like focus on one thing at a time and like hit flow state in like your work, and then when you're with your friends, be with your friends,
Mhm.
and when you're with your family, be with your family and shit like that. So like pretty much no matter if I'm having a good trip or a bad trip, I get that as the answer.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
do you have something like that? Like some like I guess continuous thing that you learn about or like keep relearning?
Mm, I guess just like, yeah, I don't know, like something along the lines of like just, like don't like just block out the noise, like focus on what's important. And it's just like family, like being healthy, like just the standard kind of stuff just comes up. It's like all this other stuff is noise, right? Like when it comes
Mm.
down to it, it's like there's going to be a certain stage where we reach when we're older, and it's just going to be like, yeah, this shit doesn't matter. And like we're like kind of aware of that now, but it's so hard to get out of at this age. I feel like we're always like striving to be ambitious or something. We're striving for more, but it's like ultimately we deep down, I feel like we all know that this is like, I don't know, like it's all noise.
Mm.
But it's kind of hard to actually like just embrace that or act upon that, I guess. Now, I feel like that'll be a lot easier later in life. I don't know.
Mm.
something like that. But I do remember that night having a conversation with you about like, I forget how it came up, but you were like, you were saying that you wanted to like just like hug people more and be like, do you remember this conversation? Like, I forget how this came up, but it was like how, I don't know, like, I'm not sure exactly how this came about, but it was just like, yeah, be like closer to people and like tell people how I feel about them. And I think we were both kind of saying that, right? Like we're kind of like aloof and not like sharing any feelings. And it's just like better to, actually like express how you're feeling to people. Whereas I don't know, that was a little big lesson. I still don't really do it, but
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the annoying part is like you learn this thing and it's super important for you, and then it just fades away. Like,
yeah, like the application of these lessons, I guess, is the key, right? So I guess if you're taking it in like a therapeutic setting, then I guess you can work on like applying these more so day-to-day life instead of it just being like a one-off, and then you're supposed to like kind of figure out, okay, how do I apply this in my life? It's kind of like tricky for us to figure out, I guess, without like guidance, maybe.
And so I'm gonna be doing peyote in Real de Catorce in like a month's time or a month and a half or something. And yeah, that's kind of one of the things that it's like I am nervous that I'll start freaking out. And so what I've actually been doing is like these like weed gummies, like as I told you. And I'll probably do another one today when I get home. But I noticed that as soon as I feel something happening to my body, like a panic, it like triggers a panic attack, because it's like, oh, something different is going on, and I guess I have like this Pavlovian response to like anything that pulls me out of my normal realm is just like, I don't know, it just fucks me up. Like it just starts panic. Like normal realm is in like, yeah, my normal state of mind, and I can feel like my body doing something, and it kind of weirds me out. And I don't know, like it's weird because people smoke weed all day or they drink all the time and they're just always in a different state. And like weed is supposed to be this something like super relaxing thing, but for me, I just find it's like awful.
Yeah. I can kind of relate to that as well. I don't like, yeah. Especially now that I don't, like, I used to smoke weed a lot, but now I don't. So now it's like when I take in oils or smoke or something, it's like I don't feel relaxed. It personally doesn't relax me at all, and I can feel that like bit of anxiety. But is that like why you stopped drinking to an extent, like because that state is uncomfortable of being not?
No, I would say no. I would say no. I was thinking about that because it's like actually yesterday I had a pretty hefty craving for some booze. I heard my dad like walk into the room and like I could hear his like beer bottles clanking, and I was like, oh, like I remember that, like you just have a beer bottle and you just like swig it back, and that like taste of just shitty like $1 leg forts. You just get fucked up from it. But yeah, I was thinking about that. I was like, damn, I could go for that right now. But no, like because I didn't realize I had anxiety until 2019, and then when me and you did that LSD trip, and I had a panic attack, like I didn't have a name for it, right? Like when we did it, we were just like, oh, like that was horrible, and that was it. Like we didn't have words for it. So
yeah, it's kind of like an isolated incident.
Yeah, for a couple months, and then it started intensely. But yeah, what's your travel plans? You want to come to Real de Catorce in 1.5 months?
Kind of, man. Kind of. Sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, does sound pretty good. Did you look into like flights and stuff, like how you'll get there?
So yeah, so I guess I was showing you like by accident we had those like I went from Toronto to Monterey or whatever, and there's only one flight per month. But yeah, if you were to get to Mexico, it's like $30 flight from there. So yeah, and there's numerous. So all you would have to do is get to Cancun, and then you're good to go.
And then what? You're just busing from Monterey? How far is it? Do you look it up?
Well, no, I'm not. I don't even know. Like even that SLP airport or whatever it is, San Luis Potero or whatever. Yeah, that place as well has hella airplanes going in and out of it. So yeah, But yeah, probably from wherever we are, we'll probably just take a bus to the place.
A
But
couple
yeah,
hours, 3 hours, something like
I
that.
know it's Monterey. From Monterey, it's like 4 hours.
Yeah,
So that's
makes
the
sense.
that's the GP. And then yeah, after that, I don't know.
So are you nervous to do like a ceremony here? Like, how are you feeling about that? Yeah,
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 I'm.
for sure.
But I think when you get there, you're like, oh wait, like this is a thing that they've been doing for centuries. Like this is like built into stuff. Like you've done a temescal. Yeah, so like they do weird rituals during the temescals, but it's good. Like you just know, you're like, yeah, whatever they're doing, I don't understand it, but like it's it's there for a reason. Like like how like you can't walk in front of the teepee before you go into it. And but actually, yeah, tell me about your temescal because you did one for like a ridiculous amount of time for no reason at some point,
Yeah,
no?
yeah. So yeah, that was kind of crazy. Like that was back in 2018, maybe something like that. Yeah, 2018. So I like showed up at the Temescal not knowing what it was, like thinking like my friend had told me we were going to like I don't know. I was like picturing like a sauna type thing or like
Mm,
some sort of like spa, not spa, but like something along those lines. More
yeah.
so as that. So went in like after drinking, didn't eat breakfast, like woke up late and didn't eat breakfast and was like pretty dry. Like and then show up at this thing and I was like what is this? Just seeing these little like huts. It was this little hut where there were like I don't know, probably like 20 people inside, I would say.
Hmm.
Like, and it was like really like person to person, like no room to spread out or anything. So I was like, all right, that sounds good. And they like smudged me with sage before I went in. Thankfully, I like they were selling bottled water, so thankfully I just like bought like a liter before. Like I was just like, all right, like yeah, let's do that. Have a couple sips before I head into this cave.
Parched, eh?
And yeah, it was wild, man. Like it was really scary. Actually, that was like yeah, some of the most like I like almost like broke down at one point of like just panic full on. Like I was losing my mind at one point. So yeah, basically it's like you've done one, so but it's like the
Mm,
four, I think it's what, four, right? Four
yeah.
stages or whatever, four
Hmm.
doors or
Four
something.
elements kind of thing. 'Cause
Yeah, something like
yeah.
that. So I remember like the first one, I guess they just keep bringing in like there's like the hot rocks in the middle, and then they bring in the bucket of water, pour it on the rocks, like steam, like it gets really hot in there. I'm not sure when there's like chanting and drumming and stuff. I'm not sure when, if that was in the first one or maybe the second or something. I'm not sure, but um, yeah, like the first one was like, oh, well, that was pretty toasty, and then they give you like I don't know, 10-minute break, something like that, 15 minute. I don't really recall,
Do you get out of it too, though? Or
yeah, we got out,
okay, okay.
got out of the tent. I think like after it's over, there's like they kind of go around the room and like people like share their experiences or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I felt pretty uncomfortable doing. So I remember I didn't share like the first time. And then I think the second stage was like even hotter. Um, and then like some people were breaking down. Like the one lady was like weeping, and people were going over and like hugging her, consoling her. It was like pretty powerful, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like I had no idea what this thing was, so that was
Mhm.
like completely caught me off guard. But like I survived that one, felt okay, and then like I think it was the third one. I'm pretty sure it was either the second or third, but the third one it got like super hot, um, and I like started to panic, and and obviously like I'm in Mexico, my Spanish is okay, but it's like in that moment I started to panic, like I couldn't breathe, and then like I like look over to the like entrance, but there's like 30 or not 30, but there's probably like I don't know 10 plus people in my way to get to the entrance. And I'm like, well, I'm not just gonna like step over people. I can't even see. It's so dark in here. I'm like panicking. So I'm like grab my friend, like yeah, I can't breathe. And and I would have called out to the person leading it, but I couldn't remember in Spanish. Like my brain was just like done, like shut off. And then my friend was just like, all right, like lay down, lay down. So I laid down and it was like substantially better.
Oh yeah.
Like the oxygen is just like, yeah, evaporates at the top, I guess. So yeah, once I laid down, I was like, oh, okay, like, why did no one tell me this to
Yeah, no,
start?
that was like a key part of mine as well, is like pretty much they said if it's getting too much, like get close to Mother Earth, you know?
Okay,
And then
okay.
pretty much like as soon as they closed the thing right at the beginning and it was pitch black, I was like, oh fuck, like it's pitch black in here, you know?
Mhm.
And then the fires, like the heat started, and I just immediately went into panic mode, and I was like, okay, like fucking as of like moment one, I'm like face down in the dirt, you know, just covered in it. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's scary, man, because it's like there's not really a way out. Because like they like close, it's like a teepee or something like that. Like not a teepee, but
God.
some sort of thing that, yeah, this little hut that they like close up, so it's completely dark. It's like I don't even know how to get out. If I had to like run out
Mhm.
and there's people in the way, it's like it's just not feasible.
Yeah.
So
And there's a thing in the middle with like burning hot
yeah, yeah,
rocks.
yeah. Like if I stand up and like fall in, like oh man. So yeah, that was like I was like like my brain was literally just in like scramble mode. Like I couldn't like put sentences together. It was just a panic. But then at the end of that, I remember like they opened the thing up at the end, and like it was me and like a couple others were like really struggling, and they like hosed us off and stuff. And then the fourth one wasn't too bad. Like the fourth one wasn't as hot. But I remember at the end, like when we were kind of going over everything, they were saying like, oh yeah, like I know a few of you guys said it was your first time, so we didn't have it as hot as normal in here. And I was like, man, like
Yeah.
I would have died if that was any hotter. So yeah, that was an experience for sure. Yeah, and it was like I want to say we ended at like 3 or 4 p.m. and started at 10 a.m. something like that. So it was a time frame. Like it
Yeah,
was,
that's a crazy one. Like I think they're the ones I've done, so I've never gotten out between them.
oh
So
okay.
like mine, you're in there from like moment one. They open the thing and like bring some water in and like splash you with water a little bit, but like you're in that hut until the end.
Oh wow.
Um, and I've done
And
like
can you
three.
like bring your water in and drink it while you're in there? Like you
I've
have
never, no, I've never seen that. I always just leave the water outside, and then they do bring out a thing like a bucket, and then they like fill a cup with it, and then you pass this cup around to everyone.
nice.
Not the best in COVID times, be like getting a little sketchy. And the last one I did, this girl had like this vicious cough in there too, and we're just like sitting there, like, bro, like this girl has the Rona, and she's just we're sharing water
Oh,
with her and like just like in
jeez.
this super confined space while she just like coughs her lungs out.
It's the smallest area I can find. Yeah, it's not ideal.
Those
Yeah,
little,
it's an experience though. Like that was one of like the crazier things I've done, especially because of like being so unprepared for it. I guess I don't
mm,
know, like I felt really unprepared. Afterwards, I was just spent. Like I had no energy that day. I was like, oh my god, just like yeah. It's fun though. It's
I
good. I'd
think,
recommend that.
yeah, I think as soon as I get back, I'm gonna do another one. Like
Yeah,
I got 2 more weeks here in Canada, and then after that, yeah, I
it's
think
Mescal time.
week one is to Mescal.
How many have you just done the one, or you've
Now
done
I've
two?
done three now.
Three.
So I did two in the same spot in Playa del Carmen, and then when we were in Oaxaca, we did one at our Airbnb, and that was the hottest one I've seen. Like they just had a hut in the backyard of our Airbnb, and like you just pay this dude like no money, and he comes and does the temazcal for you. And they had seats in it, so it wasn't like you're just sitting on the ground. And
Yeah.
like so, like they had made out of like clay, they'd like made these benches that everyone was sitting on. So like we're just sitting there, you know, and like you said, like the closer you get to the ground, the easier it is. And it's just like no, you're just like higher up than normal.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
the dude beside me, he it was his first one, and he's like this big dude, and it was also Neil's girlfriend's first one, and so he pretty much attributed that he couldn't leave unless she left. Like in his brain, he's like, she's a newbie, but she's like from Mexico, and she's like, yeah, like no, like it's my first one. But afterwards, she's like, yeah, but we used to do stuff like this all the time. Like it was easy for me, and like this fucking guy like passed out on me, and I'm just like holding him up like so he doesn't fall into the fucking thing. It was just like a limp body of like this big dude, and
Oh,
yeah, I was just like holding him up, and it was like a rough go for him.
So how
And
did you like? How did it resolve at the end? You just like threw him on the rocks and
yeah, no,
took
it's
off.
just like we pushed through, and like I feel the third one is always the hardest actually. Like the third one's where it's like building up, and then you think the fourth one's gonna be the hardest, and you can't take any more. And then I feel they can sort of sense that every time as well, and they're like, bro, like
Pretty
we're not
chill.
gonna kill these guys, so they just like leave it up to them. But I was like, I was sitting there, I was like, fuck, like I might die here. And then like this dude like passed out on me. And then the other guy also kind of like he leaned on me too. So I just had like these two dudes on
Just
me.
extra heat.
Yeah. And I was like, well, I mean, now I have to be strong for these guys because these guys are no longer conscious, you know?
Yeah.
So I just started singing Only Time by Enya, and that got us out of it. No?
Uh,
Like, who can say do, 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 do? You know that song?
I don't think so. No.
Bro, it's a famous song. Yeah. So we all started singing that, and then that got us through it. But it was fucking brutal. And I like actually they have like you talk about things you're grateful for in the middle of it too. Sometimes like you open up things like that. So
Yeah. I guess I kind of left that out. Like there was a like the lady was sharing about her divorce, and it was kind of like super powerful. Everyone was going like hugging her, and she was
mm,
crying. People were weeping and stuff. Like, it was pretty wild. But I don't really remember. Like I remember like I had to share something, but I don't know what I said. Like everyone just kind of looked at me like, "What is this guy doing here?" So it was kind of like odd. Spanish wasn't very good, so it's
you
just
just hung over,
yeah, it's just like, fuck's this guy? But yeah, I think I just was pretty silent through the whole thing.
hung
Yeah, it was
over,
good.
bone dry,
Just
no
bone dry,
water.
man. Yeah, I was just looking for a fork.
And you only did the one?
Just the one, yeah. Never. I was, I think, gonna do one in Oaxaca. We were discussing it, but then like COVID started to hit, so we were like, yeah, we won't do that. But
Mhm.
yeah, I would like to do another one for sure.
But yeah, if you're ever in Oaxaca, I got like the best Airbnb. Like the Airbnb host, like sell you mushrooms, and they sold us like a bunch of mushrooms, and they had the temescal on the premises, and it was just like in the clouds. Like it was, well, that was like San Jose del Pacifico.
Oh,
It
okay,
wasn't
okay,
like
yeah.
officially
San
Oaxaca.
Jose, San Jose, yeah, nice. Oh, mushroom heaven there, eh? San
Yeah,
Jose,
and
what's
so
that?
that's where like I'm not certain, but that's where San Marina Sabina or whatever Maria Sabina.
Maria
Like,
Sabina.
that's where she.
Apparently, yeah, apparently. I don't know if it's precisely there or it's like in the area, but yeah, it's in that. They
Mhm.
got the big mural of her and all the mushrooms painted on everything. What a
Yeah, everything's mushrooms. Yeah.
cool little
Yes.
town. It's kind of funny. Like the restaurants just have like mushroom coasters and like mushroom. They're just like fully. Everyone's on board with it. Like it seems odd to me, but it's like
Hmm.
super cool. Right?
It's way better. Like you can like the war on drugs, I feel really fucked like the mental aspect of a lot of this stuff, right? Like with psychedelics, because you're like a little bit sketched out when you're
Yeah,
on it
for sure.
versus
Yeah, yeah,
if you go to some place where it's like built into the culture, it's like no, like we do this. Like you buy mushrooms from your Airbnb host, and you know they're not like narcs or anything. They're not going
right.
to be reporting you. They're like, oh, we know that these guys tomorrow will be on mushrooms. You know, it's like
Yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
they do know, and they're like, all right, like yeah, let us know if you need firewood. We'll bring you. We'll start fires for you and all that because you guys are going to be useless. So
Yeah. No, that's a good point though. It's like there's always this something in the back of your mind, because we've got this like it's like ingrained into us how bad drugs are. So it's kind of like always in the back of our mind, even when we're just tripping, right? Like it's there, it's in us,
mhm.
even if we're not aware of it, like how this isn't safe or something, So adds this extra layer where you're right, you go to a place like that and it's just all ages are like open to it and they're just everyone's selling it. It's just like an open thing. It's just part of the culture. So it's
Mhm.
completely different vibe in that area.
Yeah, and so if I were to do peyote in Real de Catorce, or when we do peyote in Real de Catorce, it'll be similar, right? Like it's sort of built into the culture there.
I think so. I think so. Yeah. From what my friend described to me, it was kind of like I don't know, like it was kind of just like this deserted area.
Mhm.
So I think it's just like a small town. I'm kind of picturing similar to San Jose del
Mhm.
Pacifico, but maybe even smaller. But actually, I don't know anything about it. never been, but yeah, I would assume it's just like kind of part of the culture. I'm not sure how it's viewed as like for like foreigners coming in
Mm.
and doing these. But
I was looking it up. It's actually illegal for foreigners to do it like normal. Like you can't just show up and do peyote.
okay,
Um, and I think that would be because it's actually like endangered now.
yeah,
So I would need to look into, is it something that we're allowed to do with a shaman from there, you know? And I think so. I would be down to do like a couple day thing, like mixing into mezcals with
yeah.
peyote and then
Uh,
doing all that stuff, I think would be.
Kind of funny. I'm reading like I told you that I was reading like the teachings of Don Juan.
Mhm.
Um, and the guy is doing like the part I just finished. The guy is just did like I think a 5 day peyote like ceremony,
Mhm.
um, and they're all like he's been looking for like Don Juan talks about this guy named like Mescalito, which is like the peyote god or something. This is like your person that you will find during this like the journey through peyote. So
Mhm.
on like the fourth day of this of him like participating in the ceremony, he like runs into the woods and he's trying to find this guy, and the guy like appears out of a plant. So he has this like conversation with him. It's just wild. But this says in this that the guy gives him like a song that he has to sing in. It kind of sounds like it's like in a little like Temazcal hut
Mhm.
where they're doing it. And he said like everyone's been singing the whole time, but he had nothing to like sing, and he felt like really out of place. But then this like Mescalito, like the peyote guy, gives him his song, and then he can like sing it like all naturally. And I don't know, it's pretty funny, pretty enjoyable book. But it's like the search for this peyote god, which like it couldn't find it until day 4 or something like this of the
Mhm.
ceremony of taking, and it describes like the first day he took like 14 buttons of peyote, the second day he only took 4, like he's like breaks it all down of how much he's taking and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, interesting if you're to do this like over a multiple day period, like how that would impact your experience. I think
Yeah.
so you should try.
I'm definitely down. Yeah, I mean, like we're going all that way, so may as well like make a full week of it and then yeah, see what you can bring back. Um, but yeah, that's it's interesting though, like going in search for some specific dude. Did he, so was it the song that he gave them? Was it like a traditional song that all like the people were like, how does he know this song? Or was it like a
um
completely new song?
well, he was trying to tell the song to Don Juan. He was trying to like explain what happened and to tell him the actual song, and Don Juan was like, "No, like you can't share this song with anybody. This is your song." Um, but he said you can tell in these peyote ceremonies that some people will be singing, but it's not like from their being or from their heart, and you can tell that like they haven't met Mescalito. They're just kind of like making this up.
Mhm.
But now that like the people that are like singing it like from their being, these people have like actually encountered the like peyote god, the Mescalito, and he has given them this song, which shouldn't be shared with anybody. It's just like their own personal song. So it's kind of interesting, I thought.
So you don't sing that at the ceremony? Like you didn't bring that back to the ceremony to sing it?
I think he did. Yeah, I think he came back and he sang it on day 5, uh, I believe. But he also like slept in the dirt all night and thought that like something was after him. I forget. He was like digging a hole so he could like hide from it. So he's like, oh, and then he came back and he was all just like filthy and hadn't eaten in 3 days or something. But it was good lesson he learned. The
That's
craziest part in that book is like, he's for the one thing they call it the like devil's weed or the devil's.
lettuce.
I think it's called devil smoke or devil weed. I forget the term exactly, but anyway, he's smoking something, and but he needs to like perform this ritual before he smokes, which is like find. He has to find 2 lizards. He has to sew the mouth on one of the lizards, sew the mouth up. The other one, he sews the like eyelids together or something,
Mhm.
and then he he's been like brewing up this concoction of something that he rubs all over his body, which is going to like make him hallucinate. But then his goal is to like ask the lizards the some question that he has. He needs to ask the lizard, and the lizard will like guide him through his visions. The lizard is like considered the god. And so he lets the lizards free, and it's like whatever direction they run, it has a good omen. Like this is a good omen, this is a bad omen for your trip, kind of thing. If it runs to the south, it's like you're gonna have a terrible trip. You shouldn't be doing this. If it runs to the northeast, it's like, yeah, you're good, man. So he does this, and he lets the lizards go, and then like the next day, you're supposed to like go and find your lizards, and like
Okay.
apparently they're just gonna like appear before you with their sewn up mouth. It's wild, man. It's wild. So he does all this. Like this guy believes it all, and has, yeah, I forget what he got from it, but I think the lizard was like talking to him. And if the lizard dies, it's like you should never do this again, kind of thing. But
Well, I feel like the lizard's definitely gonna die. Like
yeah, I
its
was like,
mouth sewed up, and then the
man,
other one has its eyes sewed up. Like
it's insane.
you're
Like, why are
guaranteed
you
to
doing
die.
this? But yeah, that's a crazy book, man. Yeah, but maybe you should try that.
Yeah, like, yo, I'm down to look into all this stuff. Like, it's all it all comes from somewhere, right? Like, have you dipped into that Fingerprints of the Gods yet?
No, it's quite intimidating to look at.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the books. I'm not sure how you're gonna like it. I feel it's a book that you're gonna like, but I don't know. I didn't like it too much, so I probably shouldn't have recommended it. But like, it talks about these ancient civilizations that like have been forgotten and no one knows about. And so essentially it's just this, there's all these different traditions and things like that that they have in South America, and they also have these some similar traditions in Egypt. And it's just interesting because they think that it was brought from these like tall white dudes who showed up, because there's these legends and these myths of these guys, who showed up and helped show them how to farm and things like that from these ancient like forgotten civilizations. And so yeah, it's just like a lot of these kind of rituals, like sewing mouths shut on lizards, you could, they might mean something, but we just don't know what they mean, like same with like people who like believe in crystals, like the power of different crystals and things like that. I mean, like, bro, like maybe, there could be something there to it, but
Yeah, it just seemed like there's like no way to prove this scientifically, so we're kind of just like easy to jump on, like, okay, this is nonsense. And it's like
yeah,
it's really hard for me to like read about tying a lizard's mouth together and be like, yeah, this makes sense. Like it sounds so ridiculous, it's just like I can't even like begin to believe this, but there's a reason for it, right? Like I don't know.
well, I mean, same
Probably
with
shouldn't dismiss it that quickly, I
yeah,
guess.
exactly. I was actually talking with my buddy about this too. Like back in 2019, like the concept of like anti-vaxxer came up. And I remember like my initial knee-jerk reaction is just like they're dumb as fuck, they're stupid. But then I remember having this thought, like same with like the flat earth people. I was like, well, I don't know anything about them. I haven't looked into it. I don't know what their evidence is. So like I really can't have an opinion on it because I just don't know anything.
Yeah,
And so I think that's like a more helpful way of thinking. It's just like, yeah, like it makes no sense to me how like me sewing these lizards' eyes shut are gonna help.
totally,
So it's
totally.
like that.
But like what, I don't know. I think back on like my views of psychedelics when I was 20 or something. Like if someone told me they were going to do LSD, I would have been like, what the fuck? Like, what's wrong with this guy?
Mhm.
This wasn't even like so yeah, it's like if you don't have any knowledge on this, we really shouldn't be like judging these things. I don't
Yeah.
think it's very easy to just dismiss it without knowing anything about it, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. There's actually a thing that I keep thinking about quite often. I was at this party and they had these weed brownies at the party. And this girl's boyfriend showed up and like we were just cleaning up and there was like some weed cookies or these weed brownies left. And she's like, hey, like, by the way, there's these brownies still here. They have weed in them, and they're decently strong. So like, if you want them, they're here. And he was like between cleaning and he just grabbed one and just shoves the entire thing in his mouth at once, then grabs another one and shoves that in his mouth. And it was just like no respect for how like fucking destroyed he could be from this. And I like can't even fathom that, I can't even fathom it. And
Mhm.
I forget why I even told that story, but yeah, it was like just seeing the levels of fucks this guy didn't give for how mangled he would be,
Yeah,
like I would have had
yeah,
like maybe a quarter of a brownie. Like I can't,
yeah, exactly, exactly. Which like
but
you hear people doing like a ton of LSD too, and it's just like,
yeah,
yeah, I can't. Like I first need to work my way, like to feel comfortable enough to do that. I would be very,
mhm.
which yeah, it's just there's something to it, I guess for sure. Like, but whether it's right or wrong, I'm not sure. But it's
Yeah.
probably something. Like, yeah.
Like I guess it's just like I guess maybe people like that, if they don't have respect for it, they're just gonna be fucked up and they're like, oh, like I'm fucked up and they enjoy it, but they probably won't get any lessons from it, Like I remember sometimes just being super drunk and like I'll get like some type of message from something, and then I'll just like brush that message off because it means nothing to me, And then like I think back like years later, I'm like, oh, like I knew that. I was told that back in the day. So yeah, it could be like that. But then, like, speaking of things that don't have any like scientific basis or anything that can be proven, like meditation was something that for the longest time you're weird to be meditating, And then you're actually one of the biggest meditators I've ever seen. So tell me about that. The retreats. I guess, yeah. Tell me about the retreats. Why did you want to do them? What are they? And then yeah, like what did you personally get out of it?
Like, when did you do yours? 2020,
I did mine 2019.
2019. So I think I did it 2018, maybe some. Yeah, yeah, 2018. I did one in 2018 and one in 2019. Um, like the 10-day Vipassana retreat. We both did it in the same spot. We both went to
Montreal.
Montebello, Quebec. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I don't know. That's something I've always kind of wanted to do. It's always been on my mind of like, to be a good test. And yeah, I think we both kind of went in without having like practiced much prior. Can I say the same for you or no?
So I started meditating regularly actually like the day that I quit drinking after we were in Ireland. I pretty much meditated on the plane, and then every day since then I have meditated. Um well, I missed like 4 or 5 days in that span, but yeah, then like so I guess that would be like 2 years of meditation, but I don't really have any. I never had any like idea what I
Training,
was
so to speak.
doing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, I had also done a 5 day,
Right, right. Your
five
five
day
day
retreat,
prison
five
prison
day
that you
prison
did.
sentence. Yeah, which was just some like ad hoc meditation retreat that I found online. So I did that. I think the year before, maybe 2017 or something. I'm not sure, but that was just in Toronto. So I show up at this. We'll start with that quickly. I just show up at this house in Toronto. Um, yeah, like it was 5 days. I think I paid. The first red flag is that you're paying money. It's not a donation basis. So I paid, I think, like $350 for 5 days. So I go into this room. Sharing it for the first night with a guy who was just finishing up a 15-day retreat, I think, at this house. And he was just kind of like, oh man, like you're gonna go crazy here. Like you're crazy, man. Like I've been breaking out of the house. I've been like just wandering the streets. You're not supposed to leave. You're not supposed to leave the house. You're supposed to just stay inside.
So wait, why is this guy still there?
Well, he was like, yeah, it's beneficial as well. Like he wasn't all, it wasn't all negative, but he's like, yeah, you will go crazy here. Like there's, because yeah. So anyway, this retreat, like basically the format of the day is you wake up at 4:30 and you meet with the leader. So it's a man and his wife are running it, and they live downstairs. And it was me and like after this guy left, he finished his retreat the next day. It was me and two girls doing this 5 day retreat. Um, and so we meet with the leader in at 4:30 every morning, and he kind of like gives us directions. He says, "Okay, you're gonna alternate a 5-minute sitting meditation with a 5-minute walking meditation. This is day one. We just do this throughout the whole day. That's it. That's the only set of directions. They brought us food for breakfast, and they brought us food for lunch, and then you don't eat in the afternoon. And like previous to that, I had never meditated like for a day in my life, didn't know anything about it. So I remember like the first night we had to sit there and like say our vows or something. Didn't really know what we were doing. It was all in Thai, like they're just speaking. I think it was like a recording in Thai.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember sitting with my feet like on my knees with my feet bent back, and it being like extremely painful, like because I like my muscles are really tight like in my ankles, and I was like, oh man, but I couldn't like move. So I was like, I'm here to meditate, like, I'm gonna be tough here. But I remember that being like extremely uncomfortable. And then the next day, the only guidance we got was like, yeah, just sit in silence. And like, I don't even know if he told us to focus on our breath. I think, yeah, we were doing like the noting practice. So it's like any thought that comes in your mind, you note it. Okay, I'm craving, craving, craving. Yeah. Um, Clinging, whatever. You just keep repeating it, and you're supposed to be aware of this throughout the day. But it's like, okay, like, so you do this for day one. Day two, you wake up at 4:30. He tells you, okay, do this sitting meditation for 10 minutes, do walking meditation for 10 minutes. So I'm just like trudging around my room, like doing these circles, like then
Mm-hmm.
sitting, then doing circles, sitting, like all day, like just absurd, except for the lunch break. You can't speak to anyone else in the house. So these girls are just doing it in their room as well. We're just kind of like zombies. No eye contact, nothing like that. So yeah, like anyway, get to day 5, it goes to 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. By day, I think 4, we started talking to each other because like everyone's like, yeah, what's going on here? Because the people that are running it like would wake us up at 4:30, and then they leave for the day. Like there's no like supervision or anything. It's just like we're just kind of there, and we don't really know what we're doing. Like there's like
Mm-hmm.
no real option to like ask questions or be like, yeah, what is this? Like we don't know. So day 4, we started like kind of talking a little bit, like kind of joking around, like how we're just watching the squirrels outside. It's like you're just cooped up in like this top floor of a house, basically. Yeah, I don't know, man. It was crazy. And then like day 5, it's yeah, you're just like so ready to be out of that thing. I was so ready to be out of that house after 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that was my first experience with meditation retreats. Yeah, it was kind of horrible. And then I was like, all right, so I should do an official one. Like my buddy Noah, who you've met, he has been doing the 10-day Vipassana retreats.
Actually, interrupting here, Noah, when we had that when I had that horrible LSD trip in 2018, he had sent you like a voice note that day saying like, hey, by the way, like just want to let you know, like I appreciate you, bro. And like he's telling you a little bit about his day or something. And he's like, hey man, like, but by the way, like you're a great guy, and like I'm
Uh,
thankful to have you in my life. And I think that might have actually triggered, I don't have any recollection of this conversation that you're saying, that we talked about like hugging other people more. But yeah, I do recall him being super kind, and you were talking about how good of a dude he was and how you wanted to be more like him,
yeah,
because like
yeah,
he does seem to offer that offer that authenticity and like gratitude towards like actually sharing how he feels about people, which is important.
right. No, that's exactly right. Yeah, I think that was the initial. We were just kind of like, wow, that's like, because especially when you're on a substance, it just brings like the authenticity to the forefront. I feel like you can like see
Mm-hmm.
that instead of we're just like, yeah, I don't know, we never say this stuff, we never like, it was super refreshing. Whereas like when I think after that trip, we were like, yeah, this is like, we were saying it to each other like, yeah, this was awesome to like actually spend this time and have this conversation. But
Mm-hmm.
we don't normally like, we would never really like voice that to each other.
Yeah. And
So
even too, like Holly, who I lived with at the time, she left for the day and told her family, like, by the way, don't go over there. They're doing some stuff, like they're not, like, don't go talk to them. And then like we were just talking about like how grateful we were for her, because like, damn,
yeah,
like what a good person. Like, like this is her house, she owns it. And
yeah,
she like just agreed to go stay with her parents for the day while we do this thing,
yeah,
that she
yeah.
doesn't fully understand, but she's just like a good human being, like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah. No, absolutely. Like to offer that space and just be like, I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but like, cool.
yeah. And
No,
also like they have all the propaganda it's like, oh, like, they're gonna fucking like jump through the window, da da
Yeah.
da, like to still trust us, like with that, without understanding it and being like, no, like, good, like, go ahead,
Yeah. No,
this house
absolutely.
is this
Absolutely.
house is yours, and we were just so grateful for that at the time, and it was like, damn, like,
Totally. Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Um, but yeah, anyway, so Noah had told me to do the meditation retreat, the 10-day. So signed up, went to Montebello. And yeah, like, as you know, what is the daily? Let me pull this up, our daily routine. So
4 a.m. wake
4
up.
a.m. 4 a.m. wake up, 4:30 to 6:30 meditation, either in the hall or in your room. Breakfast from 6:30 to 8. Group meditation for an hour. No, group meditation or meditation for the next 3 hours. An hour lunch break. Uh, you get a rest period for an hour. That's pretty key. And then yeah, like the afternoon is basically just like more meditation, more sittings, and no dinner. Like you have a break for you get fruit, and apple,
Okay,
oranges,
yeah.
and bananas at dinner time. Uh, so actually, yeah. So if it is your first Vipassana course, you can eat fruit for dinner. If you are a returning student, then you can only drink tea. Um, so yeah, so your last meal for returning students, your last meal is at 1. Like you'll finish eating by like 12:30, 1 o'clock, and then you're done till the next morning at
Mhm.
6:30. But yeah, the food's awesome. Food is really good. I enjoyed those meals a lot. Um, yeah, man, I don't know what to say about that. Like it's kind of sucks.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is, I think, yeah, so I got into these meditation retreats when I was in Thailand. Fergal said that he did his and it changed his whole life. And he like was able to be so productive for like 6 months afterwards, and he had sorted out every single thing of his life. And yeah, it gave him this opportunity to essentially, like, yeah, sort out everything, and then knew exactly where he was headed. And then I'm someone who has like a lot of doubt about the direction that my life is heading, you know? And so then my plan going in was, I'm going to sort all of my shit out, I'm going to know exactly what I want to do. Um, and then I also heard that like day 7, you just like start teleporting, like you just sit down and then like a whole hour just goes by immediately. And then I was waiting for day 7 the whole time because I'm like, bro, this is fucking brutal. This sucks. Like this is the hardest thing in my life. Those discourses are fantastic, but like you're just sitting there the whole time, like, holy fuck, man, like this is tough. This is hard. Um, and then yeah, like day 7 was difficult. Day 8 was difficult. Day 9, 10, and then like there's a secret day 11 that they don't tell you about too. Like fucking
I forgot about that.
yeah, like yeah, it's a 10-day meditation retreat, but like day 0 starts at like 6 p.m. or something. So then you have like a full meditation for at least an hour, and then like a discourse, and then like another little meditation, and then you're up at 4 a.m.
Mm.
And then like day 11, you still have to wake up at 4 a.m. And I remember like sleeping, and I was like, I did it, like I'm stretching. And then like I'm sitting there, and then the guy comes to my room. He's like, yo, like we did the attendance and you're not in the hall. And I was like, of course I'm not in the hall. Like I'm done. He's like, no, 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 like you're not done yet, bro. And then we had like the 4 a.m. meditation. And then I forget what it was. And then like it's a break, then another final meditation. And then like at 9 a.m. you're able to start leaving. But then like that's like you still have like
Yeah,
5 hours of
yeah,
like
yeah.
mandatory stuff that you have to do.
Right. Yeah, it ends up being like close to 11 days, which
Mm-hmm.
my first one I'd forgotten all about that, but I had like mentally prepared for leaving on the 10th morning. Uh, so I was like checking off all the day. Like it's really hard. So like every day you finish, you're like, oh yeah, like you did it. Like, we got to another day. And then I remember that 10th morning being like, I think it might have been the 9th. Yeah, no, no, it was the 10th morning. I got up and I was like super pumped, and I was very confused that like there was no direction. Like no one had told us like we're going home tomorrow. I didn't know like the time or anything, right? So I remember like going to the breakfast, and it said like there was a little sign saying like today's your last day. I was like, okay, like what time? Like it's already like 6:30. Like you think we'd be like kind of cleaning up and shit, and then like
Yeah.
I don't know where it like dawned on me at one point that like today isn't the last day. And I was like, bro, what the fuck? Like I thought I was going home today. And I started to like create all these reasons, like I gotta do this. Like I like told people I'd be home today. Like I gotta do this, and I was like, man, I should just leave. And I remember like we don't talk for the full 10 days. And I remember like going up to the one guy in my room that I share with, and I was like, bro, like we're leaving today, right? And he was just like, no, like tomorrow. And it just like shattered me. Like I was just like, what? Like what is going on? Like I need to be out of here. And I actually considered being like, I'm done with it. Like this, like I did this is day 10. Like just
Yeah.
give me my car keys. Like let's get the hell out of here. But I was like, all right, like let's just stay with it. Like it's kind of like the ultimate test of the 10 days of just being like,
Yeah, it's like the
okay, like
final test.
so it was, but that was a bad feeling, man. That was a
Hmm.
really bad feeling.
It's crazy too, because like you don't really, you're actually failing at everything you just spent all that time
Yeah,
cultivating, you know, because you sit there and like on day 11, you're sitting there like, all right, like when can I get the fuck out of here and like
yeah,
use my phone? And when like I gotta go, bro. Like I want to go talk to
things to
people. I want
do.
to call my mom, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
And so you're sitting there the whole time in craving to leave.
yeah,
And
yeah, 100%, man, 100%.
and then when you entered into society again, like both times, what was it like doing that? Like,
Yeah, that was crazy. The first time, because you get up, you do your meditations, like you said. I think you get out of there around like it's still pretty early. I want to say like 9 a.m., something like that. Um, and you've been wearing the same clothes like throughout the week. You only bring like a limited amount of clothes. So I just had on like pajama pants and my sweater. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go drive home, and then but I need to like get on a ferry to cross this water, and you need to pay the ferry. And I had no cash. I'd given my cash as the
donation.
donation. Yeah. So I didn't have any cash in my wallet, and I was like, ah. So I like was looking around, like it's all French too. So I like went into like a restaurant or something. I was just like driving around like the little area in front of the ferry, being who's open? Where can I go? So I got like ended up like there was an ATM in a restaurant that I got money out, got on the ferry, and then got across. And after that, I was like, this is nice. I think I called you at that point. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, I thought you were just staying there permanently.
Yeah, like yeah, because you told me the date you were at, and I was like sending you texts like, hey, like how about that? You know, like fill me in, and then it was just never delivering. And I was like,
Oh,
like I wonder what happened to him. Like maybe he won't
yeah,
come back, you know?
sits in
But
there for no. But I do remember both times being like feeling like super calm or feeling super like in the present moment, which is kind of I feel kind of stupid saying that, but it feel like as an example, I usually will always listen to podcasts in the car. Like every single time I'm driving, I'm going to listen to a podcast. And I remember like getting out of there and just driving home. Like I talked to you for a bit, and I think I called my mom or something too. But for like a good chunk of that drive, I was just driving in silence. It's like, wow, this is nice. You know, I was just like so like at peace with just like being there. You know, it was so
mm,
like it was such a like lowering of my energy, lowering of like this like vibration of energy that I always have to just like calm. Which didn't last, obviously didn't last, but it's like temporarily it was super yeah, it was like super super nice. And then slowly day after day you kind of like lose it a bit and lose it a bit, but I do think it's like it really like hammers home that number one, like that work ethic to actually finish the course is like that's impressive. Realistically, like that's very impressive to do 10 days of that for
hmm.
anybody who does it. It's like, yeah, good job. Like that takes some willpower. You can easily walk away at any point.
I know a lot of people who have walked away actually. Like most of the people when I mentioned the 10 days, like, yeah, I did that too. And I was like, they're like, how long did you make it? And I'm like, to the end. Duh. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, like I left on day 5 or day 4, you know. So, but I think that it also depends on how they frame it, right? So like Fergal was saying when he did his, like over half the people were gone by the end of it. And same with this Jason dude who I actually met. I used to work with him here. He said he left because it was difficult. And he said that most people were leaving. But then ours, I remember mine, they're like, by the way, like if you start, you don't leave. Like you're here because like it'll fuck you up if you leave halfway through because you've only got half of the training, so you don't know how to actually meditate yet, and it's gonna like ruin your whole life, you know. And like it was like that, I was like, oh fuck, like it's serious, like I'm, you know. And it's like I'm sitting there when I first roll up thinking, okay, if I can leave now or I don't leave, and those are the only two options. There's no leaving on day 5. It's just like I have to decide right now. Like I drove 8 hours to be here. I fucking like put my entire business on hold. Like I either do this right now or I go home and like, and that's it. Like there's no, well, once I start, I'm not stopping. Right. And I think so having that mindset going into it helped me versus like other people who kind of like, they're like, yeah, it's 10 days, you know, and then they see everyone else leaving as well. That like in the hall, they're like, oh, like people are leaving, you know, and you're like, but ours, most people stayed, you know. There was only the one dude I met. He was talking to me beforehand, and on day like 9 or 10 or something, he sat down beside me and he's like, is this working for you? And I was like, bro, like we got one more day left. Like, don't fucking talk to me. Like we can talk in a day, you know? And I just said like, yeah, like let's talk tomorrow, you know? And that was like the only words I spoke to him. But he said afterwards, he's like, yeah, like I was like in there looking for my car keys and they like convinced me to not to just stay, you know, like it's one more day, you know. But he also like I sort of had cheat codes via you know, because you said like, hey, yeah, like when you show up, request a wall, you know. And you and Noah, both you guys, like we went out for dinner beforehand. You're like, yo, you're just a monk for 10 days, just treat it like that. Like it's a time to get away from it all. And then yeah, I was like, yo, like when I meditate every single day, I always sit with my back against my bed. And they're like, oh, if that would be easier for you, then like, yeah, specify that you want a wall, you know. And so I did that. And then that made probably way easier because I just like had a wall to lean on versus like this dude who just showed up. He was doing it because his friend who's a girl was doing it as well. And I think he was like trying to smash or something. I'm not sure. But he wasn't really doing this for any reason. And it's like, out of all the things that I've done in my life that it could be considered difficult, this is the most, like hands down. I've never done anything harder.
Yeah. I think so.
But yeah, it's like, but then for him to stay there the whole time, even though he didn't have any reason to be there, you know, it's kind of like, I guess it's because they frame it so good at the beginning. Like, bro, like if you're here, you're here.
You're here, and you're like you might as well, right? Like you're there to learn something. Like why run away? I guess it feels like, yeah, if I'm starting and I'm going to finish, but I guess there are other reasons too. Like the one, I'm not sure if it was my first or second, but I was like really cramping up. Like my muscles were all cramping, and like you're just sitting in such, like even that for me, like the physical toll it takes on your body is maybe even as hard, if not harder than the mental toll. It's like your body is just like back's kind of sore. You're like, I don't know, my muscle, like my hamstrings, my calves were all like tightening up because you're sitting for prolonged periods. It's like, yeah, it's that definitely took a toll. Like the second time I made sure to like every chance I got to go walk around and just like keep the blood moving, because the first time I was kind of just sitting and being like, okay, I'll just sit here for whatever, like it's no problem. And then day 4 you're like, oh, my calf's seizing up. Like, it probably happened with your body unmoving for 4 days. So yeah, the physical toll is no joke for sure. Like that's
and dealing with the pain isn't too bad, but it's like you sit there and you're like, I can feel my knee exploding, and I don't like, I know it hurts and that's deal withable, but like, am I fucking myself up permanently by sitting here not moving? Because like after day 3 or day 4 or whatever, it's like, all right, like the whole time, like if you feel uncomfortable, move your legs, like shake it out, you know. And then day 4 or day 5, they're like, okay, so if you feel any discomfort, go into it. Do not move for the entire hour.
uh,
And you're like, oh fuck, like
your brain instantly goes into like, oh no, like this might be bad. Like, oh,
yeah.
like what's gonna happen? Oh, my foot, I'm feeling something. You're just like, it plays tricks on you. Eh? Like this is much worse than it actually is.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I do remember on day like 8 or something like that, I asked the dude, like the instructor, which makes this way better than what you were doing, where like the first one where there's no instruction, like this
yeah,
one's like there's an hour here where you can go actually talk to
right.
the teacher and they can give you like some insights and things like that, you know. Plus SN Goenka is sitting there speaking to you the whole time as well at night and
Yeah,
things. But then yeah, like I went to ask him, I was like, yo, man, like I am fucked. Can I get a chair? Like I already have the wall, but like, can I get a chair as well? And he's like, pretty much told me some weird story. And then the moral of the story was I couldn't have a chair. And so I went back and then like that having to deal with the pain, it actually like made me super present. I remember like for 1 or 2 hours of meditation after, like I think the next day I went back to him. I was like, yeah, thank you for not giving me that chair because it really helped with my practice. And then that went away, and then I got back to anger and pain and like miserable again.
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how it just kind of comes in waves though, right? Like you'll have some days that are amazing. You'll be like, oh yeah, I'm really getting it. And then the next day it's just like, man, I can't concentrate. I'm all fidgety. Like it's just, but it's never ending. Like throughout the practice afterwards, you're gonna be like, oh, some days it'll be good, some days it'll be horrible. It's just a matter of like showing up, doing it, putting in the time, like, like it's if you just give up when it gets hard, it's like you're not gonna keep doing it realistically. So
Mhm.
yeah.
The my buddy Boston actually, he just took over my lease in Mexico, so he's like we'll be seeing him more. Like I never really met him too much, but he just went and did ayahuasca in Peru for 10 days. But he
Wow.
said that he was looking to do another vipassana, and I guess he's done 3 or 4 of them already. And he's like, yeah, like I'm looking for some guidance in my life, so I wanted to do like another vipassana. And he was saying he's like, yeah, it's great when you get out of there because your discipline is just next level. Like you're just so good. And
Yeah.
like one of the things about it is it's interesting because I haven't been able to turn this into like anything in the real world at all. But like you, when like SN Goenka is saying like work diligently, consistently, or whatever he says.
Ardently,
Ardently.
persistently.
Ardently and persistently. But when he's saying that, you're just like, all right, and then you actually do. It's weird because it's like this is the work, but you're just sitting there, you're just doing nothing, like, but somehow you know what he's talking about, like you're working. But then in life, I guess it's different because you don't really have there's no real goals to attain or any like guarantee that these goals will work out. So like when I'm sitting there and I'm doing something and my brain is like, bro, like why are you doing this? Like it's not going to pay off for you. Like it might
Mm-hmm.
not work. Versus this dude who got his lessons from Buddha, who says, yeah, like if you do this, it'll work. It just takes some hard work, and then you just have to like surrender and trust in that. But it's been hard in terms of real life to work ardently and persistently and diligently, um, because I don't know if that's the thing to do. Like, am I doing the right thing or am I doing the wrong thing? Right.
Yeah, no, totally. Are you doing this and it's all for naught or just a waste of time? But yeah, ultimately, I think it's just like you're building these good habits, right? Like, if nothing else, you're building good work habits, which will
Mm-hmm.
serve you later, even if you are doing the wrong thing, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things I've been thinking about a lot lately as well is someone said like it's like the only regret they would have is that they didn't discover something sooner. And so it's like if you could go back and change your life, the only thing ideally that you would want to do is like, yeah, like have all the same shit happen just faster, you know? So like you just work harder and you just reach a point first, and then you can move on from there and figure out because it's going to happen anyway. It's either going to work out or it's not going to work out. And then so finding out if it's going to work out or not faster is kind of key. Um, and like an example would be my attempt at building an anxiety related coaching program for the last year. Like I built this thing in like 2 weeks this video course. And then I tried selling it, tried running ads for it, sold a couple, then bought coaching, and then was told to become a coach. And then I spent the last like 8 months working on being a coach, selling these anxiety things, like anxiety related coaching. And then I realized that I didn't want to do that. And I didn't want to sell anything at all. Like if I was going to help people, I don't want to do it for money. And that's why I started my little philosophy workshop, my philosophy club. And it's interesting because I'm like, damn, like if I actually probably got through that pretty fast, like it took a year of my life, but now I know for sure, and now I don't have to go down that road again, which is pretty cool. But it's like, damn, like if I could have figured that out in 3 months, was it possible? But I think it takes, some of these things take time to brew.
Right.
So
maybe you're just at like a different stage, ready to accept that or something now, or like able to understand that now, or who knows.
yeah, exactly. Like you kind of like, I had to go through the aspect of trying, even though I didn't want to do any like one-on-one coaching or anything like that. And I was ardent in that, but then I heard from so many people, it's like, yo, if you want this to work, it's got to be a one-on-one coaching thing. Like you can't make it work as like a video program, And like if one person told me that, I ignored it. But then I heard it from like 4 or 5 people that I respect. So I was like, all right, like, okay. And so, yeah, like I had to pay the coaches to tell me this, and I had to try it before I knew. There's other things like that too, like certain lessons that you learn that you won't learn unless you go through them, like your parents can kind of tell you everything, they can give you the secrets of the universe, but you have to find out on your own.
Won't matter. Yeah, you have to go through this. It's like parents telling me to like buy good shoes all my life. It's like, nah, I'm just gonna buy like these nice looking like skateboard shoes, and then now, my feet are destroyed, so now I'm like super okay. I'll buy great shoes and like really take care of my feet. But I'm not gonna learn that unless I go through it. I would just scoff at like this advice before. So,
one of the things you mentioned earlier, I want to go on to some books before we close out here. You mentioned something about like making it somewhere before you realize the truth or something. I don't know. It was early on in the conversation, but it reminded me of our boy Siddhartha and how he had to. He was with the Samanas. He ended up leaving and being a gambler and a drug addict and things like that with Kamala. And then he ended up just going and watching the river, and he got all of his answers from the river. So I guess it's like, what do you take from the book Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse? Are there any lessons?
That's a great one. Yeah, I guess just that, right? Like it's similar to what we've been talking about, I guess, right? Like you've got to go through this yourself. Like I think throughout that book, he's like searching for what is it, like the venerable one or something? Like he's searching for the guy that he can actually like respect, or the guy that he's actually going to get something from these teachings. And then reached a point where like these teachings were doing nothing for him, so he kind of like left this life behind, became wealthy, became a drinker. He's like had a kid, and then reached that point in his life where it's like, God, this is not fulfilling, despite having all the riches, despite being I guess respected, having like this nice home and everything. Like this isn't fulfilling, leaving that all, going to sit by the river. It's like, if he tried to do this when he was 18 or whatever, would he have gotten the same lesson from this? Probably not, right? Like I think he has to go through these other steps to get there. I guess that would be my main takeaway from that book.
Yeah. And as well, he even like runs into Buddha, and then he's like talking to Buddha for a bit, and then he's like, oh, like, who did you learn from? He's like, oh, I just did it myself. He's like, well, I'm not going to follow you then. Like, I'm
yeah.
You did it your way. And then, that's something that they also talk about in the meditation retreat. It's like the Buddha, he did the work, and he got like a ticket to enlightenment, but like, for one, like the work that he did only unlocked enlightenment for him, and that's it.
Right. Which I like a lot about this, like Buddhism in general, is how it's stressed on like he's not a special being. He like worked his way to this state, right? He wasn't born this enlightened being. It's like, yeah, he actually like lived a privileged life until however old he was, and then like kind of like went on to this path. So it's like, yeah, I don't know, like it, to me, it's like a lot more, there's a lot more value in it to be like, okay, you can work your way towards something, right? Like, personally, I don't, I kind of like, I don't like the word enlightenment. I kind of like don't, when I hear this, it's just like, okay, like it's not attainable for, but it doesn't need to be that. It's just like you can keep improving your life through these methods. Like that's kind of how I view it. And it's like, yeah, it's not like he was born this way. He worked his way into this. So I think there's like tremendous value even in the journey itself, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
The final goal.
Yeah. So it's like it's crazy. So I'm going back through my journals from back in the day. So I started writing again in 2019 after my shit all got stolen. And yeah, it's interesting. I like every month I have this fucking like insight. Like it's do the work for the work's sake, And it's like, what's your purpose? This is your purpose. And I always just had the same thoughts over and over and over again. It's like, oh, like all of the answers you could have known, you already have known them this whole time,
Mm.
And so one of the things I keep relearning is just don't do the work for any sake other than the work itself. Like the Bhagavad Gita says, like, just you don't have a right to the fruit of your labor. You just have a right to your labor, and that's it. And like I've been hearing this numerous times throughout the years, and I keep remembering it. And it's like, oh, like this is the answer, and then I forget it, and then I try to find a shortcut, and it's like, wait.
Yeah.
And then I just fuck it up, and actually, like this book, War of Art, which you know and love, I actually have been thinking about that a lot lately. And it's like, oh yeah, like I'm the most productive when I read that book, because he just talks constantly in that book about just be a professional, just show up and do the work. And like if you're motivated, that's cool, but like we don't rely on that. We're relying on just showing up.
Right. Motivation comes and goes, so we can't rely on that, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. And then Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. That's a
high up on my list. Yeah,
that's some good. Do you have some good? I've never read it. Do you have any insights into that one?
No, it's terrible. That is the by far the worst book I've ever read.
It's interesting because like, yeah, it's so highly renowned,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's yeah, some people love it. I don't know. I was recommended it by like, I don't know. I just remember this being in hostels, probably like 3 or 4 different people were like, I don't know how this came up. It's like, oh yeah, you got to read this book. And then one day I was like, oh, man, here's this book. This is going to be awesome. And it was just abysmal. Like it was so bad. Such a long, tedious, like just nothing of value that I didn't get from it. I was also pretty young when I was reading it. So there's possibly like, if I read this now, I would get a lot more from it, but I don't think so. No,
Imagine you spent like 10 years talking shit on this book just to be like, actually, it's
this book's amazing. It's so profound. Yeah, like maybe it's awesome, but no, it's not. It's
I did attempt to read it in like, yeah, I want to say like 2015 on your recommendation of how horrible it was. And I remember like reading the first beginning of it, and the guy like said something kind of racist at the very beginning, like that didn't need to be said. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna pass on this book,
book doesn't need to be read.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's pretty shit. Yeah, I guess what did I want to cover? What did we cover? We covered a lot of psychedelics, which is always nice. Have you ever read any Stoicism?
Outside of like meditations, I don't think so.
I'm actually reading Epictetus's Discourses right now, and I was going to send you a picture of it yesterday, but it was like there's a part in there where he's talking about craving and aversion and like why this is the only thing that drives us and things like that. And I was like, oh fuck, like yeah, there it is. Like they've all known the whole time exactly the answer. So um yeah, so it's pretty much similar to what we already know.
Did I read that? I might have read that. I don't know. Not sure. Yeah, I can't recall that if I did, but I'm really terrible with like names and stuff too. Like I don't remember anything I've read. So
It goes.
glad you're not asking me for like book recommendations because
Well,
I got
I
nothing,
was
buddy.
about to, like,
Goes like Atomic Habits because it's the only one I can remember right now that I like.
that's actually, I just got a text message before we started today that that book is actually free on Spotify if you want to listen to it on audio. So,
Maybe.
um, so yeah, that's a great book. Have you read Slate Edge?
Yeah, that's a great one too. Yeah, nice
Yeah.
call. That's a great
Oh,
one.
yeah, no, yeah. So no, this is the thing. I read Slate Edge and I was telling you about it, and you're like, "Is this a joke?" Like, I recommend this to every single person, you know. And
Yeah, those are the two, Atomic Habits and the Slight Edge. I forgot about the Slight Edge actually. That's a great
yeah,
one. Yeah, I
I
like
have,
that book a lot.
I have mine in Mexico, so I'm gonna reread it once I get there. But yeah, it's fantastic.
I think that'd be a good one to read in Spanish too, because it's like fairly basic, right? That book. If
Yeah,
I'm recalling correctly, like I feel like the concept there is super basic. It's just like drills in your head to like do a little
yeah,
more each day.
exactly.
Like that's it. You
Yeah.
basically don't need to read that book. You just need to know like do a little bit more each day. If you don't do it, you're going to get a little bit worse. If you do
Hmm.
something, you're going to get a little bit better.
Hmm.
Compound interest over time, you're going to get a lot better. That's the whole concept of the book, but
That's it.
it's a nice one. Yeah, I like that book a lot.
Yeah, I would group that War of Art, Atomic Habits, Compound Effect, all of those in the same thing. But like the value comes from you reading it and reminding
Yeah,
yourself of that, and then you have that in your brain every day, you know? So like you just read one of those books for 10 minutes per day. And then in your mind, you're like, okay, this is like I guess an example when I was reading Slate Edge and I just had this mantra in my head and it's like easy to do, easy not to do. And like
yeah,
every day when I was choosing between taking the elevators in my apartment building or the stairs, I just had that thought in my head and I just took the stairs every day for like 8 months. 8 months I took the stairs every day. And then I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like what like, why do I keep taking these stairs? Like there's a perfectly good elevator right there. And then I just gave up entirely. Like I never used the stairs again. Um
but it's funny. Like it's funny that you say that because it's everything. Like you read those books, you get these lessons from it. But if you're not like continuously drilling this point into your head, you'll eventually backslide into
yeah,
not doing it,
exactly.
right? Like it's guaranteed. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's a really good example actually.
Yeah, so you just gotta keep reading them. And I guess final thing, your habits that you do every day. I know you have like a ridiculous routine. What is it? Mine I've fallen off quite a bit recently. So I used to meditate, do Wim Hof, then I read for 15 minutes, and then I read Spanish for 15 minutes. And then I had like my intentions that I would write out, and then my great gratitude thing, write things that I was grateful for. And then I would plan my day out and then I would like begin my day. And then since then, I've now got it down to I read for 15 minutes and I meditate, and that's it. And like I stopped making my bed and I stopped doing everything else, you know, like, and it all went away pretty quickly, like with no problem. So I kind of
Yeah.
wonder like what's the purpose of doing all those for starters. But yeah, then I guess what is the stuff that you do every day that because you have like a really regimented life, I believe.
Yeah, which I've been like also trying to address a little bit because I think it's too regimented. So I've been trying to be like a little bit more flexible and like not being because I could feel myself like not doing a certain task and being like irritated by this. So I'm really trying to be like, okay, if I miss a day, it's fine. Just don't miss 2 days. But which is I think is in the slight edge as well. Like don't miss 2 days. But yeah, like I'm trying to be a lot more flexible because that can get a bit too much at times. But anyway, yeah. So my current daily tasks, I've got. So the ones I try to do are Chinese every day. So I'll do Chinese for like 15 to 20 minutes every day. I have like these workbooks that I work through, or I'll just reread my notes or anything, or listen. I have a podcast as well that I listen to. one of those things for 15 minutes. Stretching, I combined stretching and a Spanish podcast at the same time. Usually happens for like 15, 20 minutes. I like that. For the past like month and a half, I have really like tight hamstrings and tight muscles. So I've been doing, I think I sent you that guy before, like Athlean X is the YouTube channel. So it's, I think it was like fix your tight hamstrings in 21 days, something like that. So it's like a steady, like 7 days you do.
Oh, did you buy a course from him?
No, I didn't buy it. It's just the free YouTube
Okay.
video. So I've just been rotating that for about a month and a half, 2 months now.
He also has a full channel in Spanish as well, by the way. So like
Seriously?
all of his shit, all of these videos, they're also dubbed in Spanish if you want to use that as
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I've been doing that, which has been like super beneficial to my hamstrings because I like didn't really know how to stretch them, I guess.
Mhm.
So I'd always like stretch them and then overdo it and then like mess up my foot or something. So I've like been just slow and steady doing that. So that's part of my morning routine as well. What else we got going here? Cold shower, yeah, we'll get that going. The meditation. I've been kind of shifting now to just doing an hour meditation in the morning. Some
Mhm.
days I want to do an hour total throughout the day. Some days I do like 30 or 40 20, something like that. So I've been trying to just get it done in the morning because at night I get super lazy. Um, yeah, I think that's about it, man. Oh, and chess puzzles I try to do for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but I'm kind of lazy on that one, so don't
Yeah,
do that
that's
that
for the
much.
best. So I've switched to 3-minute chess games, and it's
Yeah,
got
how's it going?
I'm like plus 1,000 in 3-minute chess.
Yes.
And so I've actually decided to block that from 9 to 5 on my computer
Nice,
because
nice.
like you sit there and you're like, oh, it's just 3 minutes, like 3-minute games. I can get a 3-minute game out the way pretty easily.
Yeah,
Like before it
yeah,
was like a 10-minute game and then I'd play two 10-minute games and then like your whole day is gone because it's 10 minutes,
yeah.
it's like 10 minutes on each side.
That's
Um,
40 minutes right there.
yeah, exactly. So you fall into that pretty quickly and you're fucked. And then I just switched to these 3-minute games, and I've been doing 3-minute games for a couple months now, and it's fantastic. But then that also turns into, hey, like it's just a quick 3-minute game. Like if I have like one part of my brain doesn't want to solve this problem in my life, I can just open a new tab
Yeah,
and play chess.
100%, 100%.
So then that got problematic. So I had to I had to block
Good
myself.
call. Good call. That can spiral quickly. Like you win one. Oh, I win. I'll keep playing. I lose. Oh, maybe I'll play till I win.
Yeah,
It's just like a
I legit go on these runs where I like win 5 games in a row against good people, and then I lose 5 games in a row. And like there's no in between. It's just like I go on a run and then I go on a loss run.
yeah, yeah.
That's it.
It's, yeah, but I stopped doing all like quick games. Well, I'm trying anyway. Like occasionally I'll play a 5, but it's like I don't like this. I don't feel like it makes me better at all. I feel like it makes me worse. So I just kind of
Really?
like stop that. Yeah.
So
I feel like I can't like think through any issues, and I'm not good thinking quickly anyway. Like I'm not a quick thinker, so it's like I don't know. I feel like I'm just kind of like rushing and like I'm not like thinking, oh, what would actually be a good move here? I'm just like, and then it just gets me in these bad habits. So I don't know. I'm not doing those. But.
yeah, I guess it's right. I did this one recently where I moved my piece somewhere and I was like, oh, now he's fucking dead. And then I looked and he was actually covered by something. So and that's like most of the time I move and then I look, I'm like, oh, he could be in danger. But then it was like, oh, like he's in danger, but he's going to kill whatever is going to kill him too. So it's like a trade. And that's just mostly due to luck, like, or maybe it's like intuition because like I play these 3-minute games and I'm just like, part of me knows, but like consciously I don't know. But yeah, like I've dumb mistakes in these 3-minute games.
There's something to like playing a lot of something, right? And it just like gets ingrained into your brain. Like I'm sure there's a lot of value in like just recognizing the patterns quicker every time you're playing these. So I don't know. There's probably pros and cons to the quick games, but I'm gonna just try not to play them because yeah, that's kind of the last part of my habits list, and I've been actually that's the one. If I don't do them, it's that is definitely the one.
Yeah, I found like I've now started like I used to, and this is something as well. I used to have like this like, well, I still have it. It's like a spreadsheet where I put like ones and zeros on everything that I do, and it changes the colors to green or red. And I notice I'll have like enough days in a row of something being zero, and then I'll just delete it from the thing. I'm like, yeah, like I don't want to do this anymore. Like, so like Wim Hof, for example, like at a certain point, I was doing it every single day, like first thing after meditation. But then when I started jujitsu, then it's like I'm waking up at 6 in the morning and I meditate for 20 minutes and then I have to like get ready in 10 minutes and leave to go to jujitsu. And then so then I made the rule in my head, like on jujitsu days, you don't need to do Wim Hof because you don't have time to do it, And then that kind of made it so that on every day you don't do Wim Hof.
Yeah. This stuff, like, it's crazy, man. It's so slippery. It's so slippery to not do these things. It's super easy. Even like working out, like I can feel like I kind of messed up my shoulder, so I'm taking a week off now. Which also is another crazy thing. It feels like I'll like work out fairly hard and be like, okay, I'm feeling good. And then I'll injure something. We'll get injured. It's like, this has been happening to me for like 8 years. Like my body will not get to a like different level. It's like, no, you're going to be like skinny. Like there's no way you're packing up muscle. Which whatever, I just got to deal with that now. But that's another thing though. Like a week, I haven't worked out for a week now to rest my shoulder. And it's like, I can already see myself like not even considering this an option throughout my day, like it's so easy. Like it's already in my head of like, okay, this thing is gone from my like daily routine. Like, oh yeah, I was like noticing, oh, I have so much more time now. It's like, yeah, this is nice. Like who needs this working out nonsense? But it's wild, man. These brains.
Yeah. So get back on that. I mean, maybe you could do yoga in exchange right now to like stretch your shit out.
Yeah.
That's what Fergal's doing. Actually, you should, if you do come to Mexico, like you guys could just do stretching together and stuff. Like he's
big on that.
Yeah, that's it. And that was the interesting thing about his San Pedro trip is he realized that he didn't care about money anymore and he only cared about stretching and like fixing his body because his body's all fucked up. And now he's just like looking into building a commune and a little community in the forest where him and his people can just hang out and they don't have to worry about government intervention or anything. And they can just mind their business and like live off the land and be at one with nature and meditate, do yoga, things like that. That's all he seems to care about. And then, doing stretching and yoga. And it's interesting because he did this, he did San Pedro and realized this. And it's like a complete change of his entire personality, So it was the opposite of that before. He's like, I want to make $1 billion and maybe when I'm 80, I'll do psychedelics.
Yeah.
And it's completely different now. So I think if you do come to Real de Catorce, I think we'll all have a good time hanging out together for, I think like a week there, and like try to do a couple, like maybe 3 peyote sessions and find peyotecito. What's his name?
Mescalito.
Yeah, I never knew of this man.
No. It's like, damn, that's pretty cool. Start wandering through the desert, man, looking for. It came out of the peyote plant, he said. So,
yeah. Perfect. So if you want to do that, we'll hang out, and I think that'd be sick, bro.
Cool. Sounds good.
That's it for me. It's been 1.5 hours, so I think we're at the perfect amount of time. Thanks for doing this, bro.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. It's a pleasure.